She grabbed the whiskey bottle beside her, took a drink straight from it. For some African girl who's been here 7 days, 7, Hayen's laugh was unhinged. She comes to Korea, gets kidnapped, and suddenly she's the love of his life? What about me? The comments were flooding in. Some sympathetic, some cruel, all watching her unraveling in real time. That black girl stole my happiness, Hayen sobbed, her voice breaking. She took everything from me, everything I worked for, everything I built, gone, because of her. She collapsed forward, the phone still recording. Why me? She whispered to the empty room, to the thousands watching. Why wasn't I enough? What did she have that I didn't? The stream continued for another 5 minutes, just Hayen crying on the floor in her black robe before someone finally came and ended it. The container door opened and light flooded in, blinding after so long in artificial dimness. Kira stumbled out onto the Los Angeles dock, Min-jun steadying her. Both of them looked like hell. Thinner, paler, smelling like 3 weeks without proper showers. But alive. Welcome to America, Min-jun said, squinting in the California sun. A car waited for them. David Park himself, leaning against a black Mercedes, arms crossed. He was in his 50s, Korean-American, with a scar running down his left cheek and eyes that had seen too much. Kang Min-jun, David said. His English had a thick LA accent. You look like shit. You should see the other guy, Min-jun replied. David's lips twitched. Might have been a smile. Get in. We need to move before port security asks questions. They climbed into the Mercedes. As they pulled away from the port, Kira looked back at the Hanjin Progress, their metal prison for 3 weeks. She'd never been so happy to see the back of something. David drove them through LA, past downtown's gleaming towers, through neighborhoods Kira didn't recognize, until they reached Koreatown. The safe house was above a Korean BBQ restaurant. 2 bedrooms, kitchen, living room. Modest, clean, anonymous. You'll stay here, David said. Rent's paid for 6 months. After that, you're on your own. Why are you helping us? Kira asked. You don't know us. David looked at her with those hard eyes. Your father? He nodded to Min-jun. Kang Dae-jung killed my little brother 20 years ago. Territory dispute in Koreatown. Jinho was 16. He was in the wrong place, wrong time. David's voice was flat, emotionless from years of telling this story. I've spent 20 years waiting to hurt Dae-jung. Helping his son escape, knowing it's destroying him, that's payment enough. I'm sorry about your brother, Min-jun said quietly. Don't be. Just stay alive. That'll hurt him more than anything. David left. Them with cash, burner phones, and a warning. Keep your heads down. No social media, no contact with anyone from your old lives. Dae-jung has people everywhere, including here. After he left, Min-jun and Kira stood in the safe house looking at each other. They'd made it. They were in LA. They were free. They both started crying. 2 weeks later, life developed a rhythm. Min-jun and Kira became Jason and Michelle. The fake names from their passports becoming real as they built new identities. They explored Koreatown together. Ate at the restaurants Min-jun remembered from his USC days. They found Mrs. Parks still there, still serving the fried chicken and mac and cheese that had reminded him of home. The owner, an elderly Korean woman, didn't recognize Min-jun. Too many years, too many changes. They ordered the fried chicken. When it came, Min-jun took a bite and his eyes filled with tears. It's exactly the same, he whispered. Kira held his hand across the table. At night, in the safe house, they made plans. A restaurant, Min-jun said. They were lying in bed, tangled together, LA traffic humming outside. I want to open a restaurant. Korean-American fusion, like Mrs. Parks, but ours. And I want a cafe, Kira added. Not in Chicago. Something new. Here in LA, we could be partners. Partners, Min-jun agreed. He rolled over, looked at her face in the dim light. Marry me, properly this time. Not in a bathroom in Seodamun while running for our lives. Marry me here, in LA. Build a life with me. Yes, Kira said without hesitation. 1,000 times yes. They kissed, celebrating futures they were finally allowed to plan. But shadows were gathering. In Beverly Hills, In the house that was supposed to be her marital home, Huggins sat with Detective James Miller. They entered through the port of LA 3 weeks ago, James said, spreading photos across the table. Came in on a cargo ship, the Hanjin Progress. We have them on. Camera leaving with David Park. Huggins stared at the photo. Min Jun and Kira, stumbling out of a shipping container, looking like refugees. Together. Something twisted in her chest. David Park took them to a safe house in Koreatown. James continued, we have the address. What do you want us to do? Hyen was quiet for a long time. She'd spent the past month in LA, supposedly moving into her new home, settling her life. Really, she'd been planning revenge. But looking at that photo, at Min-jun's face, genuinely happy for the first time in years, something cracked. Nothing, she said quietly. James blinked. Nothing. You paid me 50 grand to find them. I know what I paid. Hayen stood, walked to the window. The LA hills spread before her, houses climbing toward the sky. I want surveillance. I want to know where they go, what they do. But no action. Not yet. You're the boss. After James left, Hayen poured herself a drink and stood at that window for a long time. She'd come here for revenge, to destroy them like they destroyed her. But revenge was exhausting and hollow. She thought about the girl she'd been at 15, the woman she'd become, the years she'd wasted waiting for someone who would never love her back. Maybe, just maybe, it was time to let go. Or maybe not. She hadn't decided yet. Welcome to Soul Afro Stories, my soul Afro lover. Here's my question. Have you ever loved someone who couldn't love you back? Can you relate to Hyen's heartbreak? Drop your thoughts in the comments. No judgment, just real talk. Hit subscribe because this story is about to get messy. Hyen hasn't decided if she's letting go or going for blood. And trust me, you don't want to miss what she does next. We also have something hotter coming next. Subscribe and turn on your notification bell now. Where are you watching from? Drop your city below. Now let's see if love can survive when the past won't let go. Chicago, in a small cafe in Hyde Park, Maya closed up Kira's corner for the night. The cafe had been closed for over a month now. Maya kept coming anyway, keeping the plants alive, making sure everything was ready for whenever Kira came back. If Kira came back, she tried calling, tried texting. Nothing. Just silence. Then the Asian men had come, asking questions, showing photos. Maya had lied, said she didn't know anything. Now she kept the doors locked and wondered what the hell had happened to her friend. In Seoul, in a prison cell, Kang Dae-jung sat across from his lawyer. Your son is in Los Angeles, the lawyer said. We have confirmed sightings. He's with David Park. David Park, Dae-jung repeated. The name tasted like poison. That traitor. What do you want done? Dae-jung thought about his son, his heir. The boy he'd molded into his image, who'd thrown it all away for some girl. Nothing, he said finally. The lawyer blinked. Nothing? But the bounty. I withdraw the bounty. Let him rot in America. Let him live a small, meaningless life. That's punishment enough. Dae-jung's eyes were cold. He's dead to me. I have no son. But later, alone in his cell, Dae-jung allowed himself a moment of grief. For Hyun-suk, dead at 19. For Min-jun, lost to him forever. For the empire that would die with him. Back in LA, Min-jun woke in the middle of the night, covered in sweat. Nightmare. Same one he'd been having for weeks. His father finding them. Kira dying while he watched, unable to stop it. Hey! Kira's voice, soft in the darkness. Her hand on his chest. You're okay. We're okay. For now. For now is enough. Min-jun pulled her close, breathing in her scent, coconut oil and possibility. I got a call today, Kira said quietly. From Maya. She wants to know if I'm ever coming back to Chicago. Are you? I don't know. That was my life before. Before you. Before all of this. Kira was quiet. I miss it. I miss my cafe, my regulars. But going back feels like going backward. Then we don't go back. We go forward. Here. Together? Together, Kira agreed. They fell asleep, tangled together, in a safe house in Koreatown, building a future from the wreckage of their pasts. For 2 more weeks, it was perfect. The attack came at 3 a.m. Gunfire exploded through the safe house windows. Glass shattered. Bullets tore through walls. Min-jun was up instantly, grabbing the gun David had left them, pulling Kira to the floor. "Stay down." More gunfire. The front door exploded inward. Men poured in. Korean, professional, armed, Dae-jung's men. They'd found them. Min-jun returned fire, his training kicking in. He'd been his father's son long enough to know how to fight. "Back window!" he shouted to Kira. They ran, keeping low. Behind them, the apartment was being torn apart. Out the window, down the fire escape. Kira's feet were bare, her nightshirt catching on the metal. Stairs. Min-jun half carried her, gun in his other hand. They hit the alley behind the restaurant. Ran. Behind them, shouting in Korean. More gunfire. A car screeched up. David Park's Mercedes. "Get in!" David screamed from the driver's seat. They dove into the back. David floored it before the doors were even closed. "How did they find us?" Min-jun demanded. "Fuck if I know." David swerved through Koreatown streets. "I got a tip 10 minutes ago. Someone said Dae-jung's crew was mobilizing. I came as fast as I could." In the back seat, Kira was shaking. Her auburn braids wild, her dark eyes wide with terror. This was supposed to be over. They were supposed to be safe. "Where are we going?" Min-jun asked. "I don't know," David admitted. "Everywhere I know, they know. Your father has been building networks in LA for 30 years. There's nowhere in this city I can hide you that he can't find." They drove aimlessly for 20 minutes before David pulled into an abandoned warehouse in the industrial district. They sat in the car, breathing hard. "We can't stay in LA, Min-jun said. "You can't stay anywhere in the US, David countered. "Your father's reach is too long. You need to go somewhere he doesn't have connections, somewhere remote." "Where?" Kira asked. David thought, "Mexico? Canada? South America? Anywhere with extradition is dangerous," Min-jun said. His mind was racing, thinking like his father, trying to stay one step ahead. "We need leverage, something to make my father call off the hunt." "Like what?" "His files, his records, everything illegal he's ever done. It's all documented, has to be, for the business to run. If we expose him, destroy his empire, he'll have bigger problems than finding us." David shook his head. "Those files are in Seoul, in his office. You'd never get close." "No," Min-jun agreed. "But Tae-sung might." He pulled out his burner phone, called the number he'd memorized. Tae-sung answered on the first ring. "Are you alive?" "Barely. They found us in LA. We need leverage." "I'm listening." "My father's files. The real ones. Everything he's hidden from authorities. Can you get them?" Long silence. Then, "Maybe. He's been sloppy since the wedding. Distracted. Security isn't what it was. But Min-jun, if I do this, if I betray him completely, there's no going back for me either." "I know, and I'm sorry." "Don't be. I'm tired of working for monsters." Tae-sung's voice was firm. "I'll do it. Give me 48 hours. He hung up. Min-jun looked at Kira, at David. "We need to hide for 2 days. Then we burn everything down." They spent those 2 days in the warehouse. David brought them food, water, supplies. They didn't leave, didn't risk it. On the second night, David brought news. "Your friend Hye-in is in LA," he said, "living in Beverly Hills. Word is she's been tracking you too." Kira's blood went cold. "She wants us dead." "Maybe, or maybe she just wants answers." David shrugged. "Either way, she has a corrupt cop, Detective James Miller, working for her. He's been surveilling you." "So everyone's trying to kill us," Kira said bitterly. "Welcome to my world," David replied. On the third morning, Tae-sung called. "I have them," he said without preamble. "Everything. Financial records, criminal evidence, connections to politicians, 20 years of Dae-jung's empire, all documented. How did you get it? Your father made a mistake. He trusts Mrs. Kim. She has access to areas others don't. She helped me." Tae-sung paused. "Min-jun, this is enough to destroy him. To put him away for life." Min-jun's hand tightened on the phone. This was it. The moment he chose between his father and his freedom. There was no choice, really. "Send it," he said. "Everything." To the Korean authorities, to American FBI, to journalists, everywhere. Burn it all down. Are you sure? Minjun looked at Kira, at the woman who'd chosen him over freedom, who'd spent 3 weeks in a shipping container and survived assassination attempts and never once regretted coming back for him. I'm sure. Then consider it done. Within hours, it was international news. Korean crime boss Kang Dae-jung's empire exposed massive document leak reveals decades of corruption. Authorities moved to arrest Kong and associates. Minjun watched the news on David's phone, Kira beside him, his father's face on every channel, the empire crumbling, associates fleeing or being arrested. Everything his father had built, everything Hyun-suk had died for, everything Minjun had been raised to protect. Ashes. How do you feel? Kira asked quietly. Minjun thought about it. Free. The call came from an unknown number. Minjun answered cautiously. Hello? It's me. His father's voice, cold, controlled, completely at odds with the fact that his empire was collapsing around him. Minjun's breath caught. How did you get this number? I'm still your father. I know everything. Dae-jung paused. I assumed this was you. The files, the exposure, very clever. It was necessary. Was it? Dae-jung's laugh was bitter. You've destroyed everything, Minjun. Everything your brother died for. Everything I built. For what? Some girl? Her name is Kira. And yes, for her. And for me. For the chance to actually live. Silence on the line. Then, there's something you should know. Before they arrest me. Before this ends. What? Your brother's death. It wasn't random. It wasn't wrong place, wrong time. Minjun's blood went cold. What are you talking about? I ordered it. The world stopped. What? Hyun-suk was weak, soft. He would have destroyed the business. He was talking about going legitimate, about ending the family operations. I couldn't allow it. Dae-jung's voice was matter-of-fact, like discussing business. So I arranged the hit, made it look like a rival crew. And you came back from USC, like I knew you would. You became what I needed. Cold, hard, perfect. Minjun couldn't breathe. His father had killed Hyun-suk, had murdered his own son. You're a monster, Minjun whispered. I'm a businessman, and you are always going to be better than him. You just needed the right motivation. Dae-jung paused. I'm telling you this now because I want you to understand. Everything I did for the family, for the empire. Even killing one son to perfect the other. He was 19. He was a liability. Minjun hung up. He stood there, phone in his shaking hand, while the truth of his entire life rearranged itself. Everything he thought he knew, every choice he'd made. It was all built on a lie. His father had murdered Hyun-suk. Kira found him like that, standing frozen, barely breathing. What happened? Minjun told her. Every word. When he finished, he was crying, great, gasping sobs that he couldn't control. Kira held him while he broke, apart. I need to go back, Minjun said later, when the crying had stopped and rage had replaced grief. To Seoul, to confront him, to make sure he rots in prison for what he did. That's suicide, David said. Dae-jung still has people in Seoul. The second you land, you're dead. I don't care. I do, Kira said firmly. We didn't survive this long for you to throw your life away on revenge. He killed my brother? I know. And he'll pay for it. The authorities have the evidence. He's going to prison. That's justice. Kira took his face in her hands, forced him to look at her. But we don't have to be there for it. We can let the system handle it and move on with our lives. I can't, Minjun said. I can't move on knowing what he did. I need to face him. I need to tell him... His voice broke. I need to tell him that he failed. That despite everything, despite murdering his own son, despite 7 years of making me into him, I'm still human. I still love. I still choose life over empire. Kira understood. She didn't like it, but she understood. Then I'm coming with you, she said. Kira, we're in this together, all the way. That's what we promised. Minjun looked at her. His beautiful, stubborn, fierce Kira, who'd refused to board a plane to safety, who'd chosen him when it made no logical sense, who'd survived everything his world had thrown at her. Together? He agreed. They flew to Seoul on fake passports in economy, looking like normal tourists. Tae-sung met them at Incheon, the same airport where everything had started and nearly ended. You're both insane, Tae-sung said by way of greeting. We've established that, Min-jun replied. Tae-sung drove them through Seoul, the city that had been Kira's prison and Min-jun's cage. So much had happened here. So much had changed. Your father is being held at the prosecution office, Tae-sung said. Awaiting formal charges. Security is tight, but I can get you in to see him. Once. That's all I can promise. Once is enough, Min-jun said. The prosecution office was fortress-like. Concrete and steel and serious people in suits. Min-jun and Kira waited in a small, sterile room. No windows, just fluorescent lights and a table and 2 chairs. After 30 minutes, the door opened. Kang Dae-jung entered, flanked by guards. He was in prison clothes, hands cuffed, but he still carried himself like he owned the room. His eyes locked on Min-jun, then shifted to Kira. Something cold and amused crossed his face. So this is her, Dae-jung said in Korean. The black girl my son threw everything away for. Her name is Kira, Min-jun said. And speak English. She deserves to understand every word. Dae-jung switched to English, his accent thick but clear. Ah, respect for the woman. How American of you? He sat, still in cuffs, completely relaxed, like this was a business meeting. Why are you here? Dae-jung asked. To gloat? To tell me you won? I'm here to tell you that you failed, Min-jun said. His voice was steady, cold. You killed Hyun-suk. You spent 7 years turning me into you. You thought you could make me choose empire over humanity, and you failed. Did I? Dae-jung smiled. You're here, aren't you? Back in Seoul, facing me. Some part of you is still my son. No, Min-jun said. I'm Hyun-suk's brother. That's who I am. Not your heir, not your weapon. His brother. And Dae-jung's smile faded. Min-jun leaned forward. You wanted to know why I threw everything away for her? Because she reminded me I was human. Because in 7 days, she gave me something you never did in 30 years. A reason to live instead of just survive. How touching, Dae-jung said dryly. You'll spend the rest of your life in prison, Min-jun continued. Your empire is gone. Your legacy is destroyed. And he took Kira's hand. I'm going to live. Really live. I'm going to be happy. I'm going to build something good. And every day I exist, happy and free, is a day that proves you failed. For the first time, real emotion crossed Dae-jung's face. Rage. Pure, undiluted rage. You're weak, he spat. Just like your brother. Weak. No, Min-jun said quietly. I'm strong enough to choose love over power. That's something you never understood. He stood, pulled Kira up with him. They moved toward the door. Min-jun, his father called. Min-jun paused, but didn't turn around. I am your father. That will never change. No matter how far you run, how long you live, you are my son. My blood. My heir. Min-jun looked back then. One last time. You're right, he said. I am your son. Which means I know exactly how to destroy what you built and make sure it never comes back. And I will. Every day. With every choice I make. I will be everything you weren't. He walked out, Kira beside him. Behind them, Kang Dae-jung sat in that sterile room in handcuffs, watching his last son walk away forever. In the hallway, Min-jun finally let himself breathe. How do you feel? Kira asked. Lighter, Min-jun said. Like I've been carrying something heavy my whole life, and I finally put it down. They walked out of the prosecution office into Seoul's sunshine. But they weren't done yet. There was one more person Min-jun needed to face. They found Ha-in at a cafe in Gangnam. She was alone, staring at her coffee, looking nothing like the perfect woman who'd walked down that aisle. She looked tired, human. Min-jun and Kira sat down at her table without asking. Ha-in looked up, unsurprised. I wondered if you'd come. We're here to say goodbye, Min-jun said. And to say I'm sorry, Kira added. Ha-in's eyes filled with tears. Don't apologize. That makes it worse. They sat in uncomfortable silence. Finally, Ha-in spoke. I loved you since I was 15. I gave up everything, my life in LA, my career, my identity, to be what you needed. And it still wasn't. Enough. No, Minjun agreed. It wasn't. But not because you did anything wrong. Because I couldn't love you the way you deserved. I couldn't love anyone. I was dead inside. Until her. Until her, Minjun confirmed. Hae-in looked at Kira. Really looked at her. Do you love him? Yes, Kira said simply. Does he make you happy? Yes. Then that's what I wanted, Hae-in said, tears spilling over. Not for me, but for him. I wanted him to be happy. I just wish... She stopped, couldn't finish. I know, Kira said gently. I'm sorry it hurts. Hae-in wiped her eyes, pulled herself together. What will you do now? Go back to LA, Minjun said. Open a restaurant, build a life. Good, Hae-in said. That's good. She stood, gathering her things. Hae-in, Minjun called. I hope you find someone who can love you the way you deserve. Hae-in smiled sadly. Me too. She walked away, out of the cafe, out of their lives. Minjun and Kira sat there for a moment. Longer. Ready to go home? Kira asked. LA isn't home yet. It will be. They left Seoul that night, flying back to Los Angeles, leaving behind the city that had held so much pain and the beginnings of their story. 6 months later, Los Angeles, the courtroom in Seoul, was packed. Minjun watched via video feed from David Park's office in LA. Kira beside him, their hands linked. On screen, Kang Dae-jung stood as the judge read the verdict. Kang Dae-jung, you have been found guilty on all counts. Murder, racketeering, money laundering, corruption. The court sentences you to 25 years in prison, without possibility of parole. The gavel came down. Minjun watched his father's face, saw the moment the reality hit. 25 years. He was 63. He'd die in prison. The feed cut off. Minjun sat back in his chair, let out a breath he'd been holding for months. It's really over, he said. It's really over, Kira confirmed. They testified remotely. Both of them, along with Tae-sung and Mrs. Kim. Their testimonies, combined with the documents, had been damning. Dae-jung's empire was gone. His associates were in prison or fleeing. The corruption network he'd built over 30 years was being systematically dismantled. And Minjun was free. That evening, there was a knock on their apartment door. Kira opened it carefully. They'd gotten cautious about unexpected visitors. Marcus stood there, Kira's uncle, the man who'd sold her to pay off his debts, who'd condemned her to 7 days of terror. Kira, he said. His voice was weak, pleading. I saw the news. I know you're in LA. I needed to see you, to explain. No, Kira said simply. Please, I'm still your family. You sold me. Kira's voice was flat, dead. You traded my life for money. You left me in that warehouse to die. You are not my family. I was desperate. I didn't know what else to do. You could have asked for help. You could have come to me. Instead, you sold me to a gangster. Kira met his eyes. I survived despite you, not because of you, and I don't forgive you. Marcus started crying. Please, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I know you are, but sorry doesn't fix this. Kira stepped back. You are only reaching out because you've seen you lost on both ends. Don't contact me again. If you try, I'll get a restraining order. She closed the door in his face. Minjun had watched the whole thing from the kitchen. He came over, pulled her into his arms. You okay? Yeah, Kira said. I am. She was done carrying other people's guilt. 1 month later, the phone call came from Chicago. Kira! Maya's voice was bright, excited. Oh my God, I've been trying to reach you for months. Where have you been? Kira had avoided calling her friend. Hadn't known what to say. How do you explain the past 6 months? It's a long story, Kira said. I have time. So, Kira told her. An edited version, leaving out the violence, the near-death experiences, focusing on the love story. Meeting Minjun, choosing him, building a new life in LA. Holy shit, Maya said when she finished. That's insane. That's like a movie. It felt like a nightmare most of the time. And you're happy? Really happy? Kira looked around their apartment. At Minjun in the kitchen, attempting to make dinner, looking adorably incompetent. At the plans on their table for their restaurant. at the life they were building. Yeah, she said. I'm really happy. Then I'm happy for you. And I'm keeping Kira's corner going until you decide what you want to do with it. Kira's heart swelled. Thank you, Maya. After they hung up, Kira sat with that. She could go back to Chicago, could reclaim her old life, her cafe, everything she'd built before. But she didn't want to. That was the old Kira, the one who'd been deported, who'd been desperate and lost. This Kira, the one who'd survived and loved and chosen courage over safety. She belonged here, with Minjun, building something new. 2 weeks later, Hye-in called from Seoul. I'm leaving Korea, she said without preamble, moving back to LA, starting over. That's good, Minjun said carefully. That's really good. I'm not calling to make trouble. I just wanted you to know, in case we run into each other. We'd like that, Kira said. She was on speaker. Running into you, I mean, as friends? Hye-in was quiet. Then, maybe someday. Right now it still hurts, but maybe someday. We'll be here, Minjun said. After she hung up, Kira said, Do you think she'll be okay? Eventually. She's strong. Stronger than anyone gave her credit for. She loved you very much. I know. I wish I could have loved her back. You love who you love, Kira said philosophically. The heart wants what it wants. And my heart wants you, Minjun pulled her close. Every single day for the rest of my life. They kissed, celebrating the mundane miracle of choosing each other in daylight, without threats or deadlines or death hanging over them. 1 year later in Chicago, Illinois. The sign above the door read, Kira's Corner, new location, in cheerful purple letters. It was bigger than the original. Better. Floor-to-ceiling windows letting in Chicago sunshine. Mismatched furniture that Kira had carefully selected. Walls covered in local art. And in the back, connected by an open doorway, another space. Mrs. Park's legacy. Korean-American fusion. 2 businesses, 1 location, run by partners. Kira stood behind the counter, pulling espresso shots like she'd never left. Minjun worked in the restaurant kitchen, his sleeves rolled up, creating the dishes he'd dreamed about. It had taken a year to make it happen. A year of permits and paperwork and building 2 businesses from scratch. A year of Minjun learning to exist without his father's shadow. A year of Kira rebuilding her confidence. But they'd done it. The door chimed. Mrs. Kim entered, beaming. Mrs. Kim! Kira came around the counter to hug her. The older woman had retired from housekeeping, moved to LA to be near her daughter, but she'd flown to Chicago for the grand opening. Look at this, Mrs. Kim said, her eyes shining with tears. Look at what you've built. Minjun emerged from the kitchen, wiping his hands. You made it. I wouldn't miss this. Mrs. Kim looked between them. I'm so proud of both of you. The door chimed again. David Park, uncomfortable in a suit, looking around the cafe like he expected trouble. Decent place, he said gruffly. For Chicago. High praise, Minjun said, laughing. Throughout the day, people filtered in. Maya, who'd kept the original Kira's Corner alive during the chaos. Tae-sung, who'd flown in from Seoul, where he was now running legitimate businesses. Some of Kira's old regulars who'd heard she was back. And late in the afternoon, a surprise. Hye-in. She'd moved to LA 6 months ago, started working in fashion again, rebuilding her career and identity. She looked different now, lighter somehow, more herself. I hope it's okay that I came, she said nervously. It's perfect, Kira said sincerely. They showed Hye-in around. She admired the space, asked intelligent questions about the menu, was genuinely happy for them. Before she left, she pulled Kira aside. Thank you, Hye-in said quietly. For what? For loving him. For being what he needed. For not hating me. Kira squeezed her hand. You're going to find your person. I know it. Maybe. Or maybe I'll be okay on my own for a while. I'm learning that's okay too. After she left, Minjun came up behind Kira, wrapped his arms around her waist. Big day. He murmured against her neck. The biggest. Worth the 7 days of terror? Kira turned in his arms, looked up at his face. His neck tattoo was visible again. He'd stopped covering it months ago. Badge of honor now, not shame. His eyes were alive, warm, completely different from the dead gaze she'd first met. Every second, she said. That night, after the grand opening, after the guests left and the cafe was cleaned and locked up, Minjun and Kira sat in the restaurant space, eating the fried chicken and mac and cheese they'd made together. Your brother would have loved this, Kira said. He would have, Minjun agreed. He would have been proud. Tell me about him. The real him, not the tragedy, the person. So, Minjun talked about Hyun-suk, about his terrible jokes and his big heart and his dreams of going legitimate, about the brother he'd lost and spent 7 years not grieving properly. And in talking about him, in remembering him right, Minjun felt the last chains fall away. His father hadn't won. The empire hadn't won. Love had won. Life had won. Marry me, Minjun said suddenly. Here? In Chicago? Here. Or LA. Or Seoul. Or anywhere. I don't care where. I just want to be your husband. Kira smiled. Small wedding? Just the people who matter. Perfect. In Hyde Park, where the original cafe was. Even more perfect. They kissed across the table, tasting like Korean-American fusion and possibility and futures they were finally free to choose. The wedding came in 3 months later. It was small, held in a community garden in Hyde Park on a perfect autumn afternoon. Maya was Kira's maid of honor. Tae-sung stood up for Minjun. Mrs. Kim cried through the entire ceremony. David Park looked uncomfortable but pleased. Hyun came, sitting in the back, and cried too, but happy tears this time. Kira wore a simple white dress and her box braids woven with flowers. Minjun wore a suit, his neck tattoo visible, his smile genuine. The officiant asked the traditional questions. Do you, Kira Collins, take Kang Minjun? Just Minjun, he interrupted. Not Kang, just Minjun. Taking only his first name. Severing the last tie to his father's legacy. The officiant corrected, Do you take Minjun to be your lawfully wedded husband? I do, Kira said. I really, really do. And do you, Minjun, take Kira Collins to be your lawfully wedded wife? Minjun looked at her. At this woman who'd refused to board a plane, who'd chosen him over safety, who'd survived everything his world threw at her and came out stronger. 7 days, he said. That's how long it took to fall in love with you. And a lifetime won't be enough to show you what that means. So is that a yes? The officiant asked, amused. That's the biggest yes of my life. They kissed as husband and wife while their small gathered family applauded. Minjun woke to sunlight streaming through the windows of their apartment above the cafe. Kira was already up, moving around the bedroom, getting ready for the day. Morning, he said sleepily. Morning, husband. She leaned over, kissed him. Still sent a thrill through him, even after 5 years. We need to get up. Big day. Right, the big day. Downstairs, in the restaurant, they'd hung a banner, Mrs. Park's legacy. Now in 3 cities, Chicago, LA, Seoul, they'd done it. Built their dream across 3 countries. The Chicago location was thriving. The LA location in Koreatown was beloved by locals. And 6 months ago, they'd opened in Seoul, in the building that used to house one of his father's legitimate businesses, now transformed into something good. The irony was beautiful. That evening, they had a video call with all 3 locations. Staff checking in, sharing successes, solving problems together. After the call ended, Minjun pulled Kira onto the couch, held her close. We did it, he said. We really did. No regrets? Not one. Kira shifted so she could see his face. Do you ever think about those 7 days? About how different our lives could have been? Every day, Minjun admitted. I think about the man I was, cold, dead, going through the motions of living. I think about how close I came to killing you, how close I came to marrying Hyun and spending my life empty. And I'm grateful for every terrifying, insane moment because it led us here. They sat in comfortable silence, watching Chicago night fall through their windows. 7 days to fall in love, Kira said softly. A lifetime to stay free. And we're only getting started, Minjun added. He was right. They had restaurants to run, food to create, lives to live, maybe someday children to raise. They had forever, and forever they discovered was long enough. The documentary filmmaker sat across from Kira and Minjun in their Chicago home. "So let me get this straight," she said. "You were kidnapped, held hostage for 7 days. Your uncle had sold you to pay off gambling debts. Minjun was supposed to kill you. Instead, you fell in love, escaped to LA in a shipping container, brought down a criminal empire, and now you run 3 successful restaurants across 3 countries?" Kira and Minjun looked at each other and laughed. "When you put it that way," Kira said, "it sounds insane." "It was insane," Minjun added. "But you do it again?" They answered in unison. "Yes." The filmmaker shook her head. "This is the wildest love story I've ever heard." "It's ours," Kira said simply. "That's all that matters." After the interview, after the filmmaker left to edit her documentary, Kira and Minjun stood in their kitchen. The same kitchen where they'd taught each other their family's recipes, where they'd built their menus, where they'd learned to be partners in every sense. "Your fried chicken is getting better," Minjun said, tasting her latest batch. "And your kimchi is almost as good as Mrs. Kim's," Kira replied. "Almost. Almost." They cooked together in comfortable rhythm, preparing for the next day's service. 7 years of practice had made them seamless. Minjun's phone buzzed, a text from Tae-sung in Seoul. "The restaurant is packed. We need to expand the space. Hyun-suk would be proud." Minjun showed Kira the message. She smiled. "He would be," she agreed. That night, lying in bed, Kira said, "Do you remember that first night in your penthouse? When you came to my room and told me I had 7 days? I remember thinking you'd be dead by the end of the week, that you'd just be another consequence, another piece of business. And now? Now you're my whole world." Minjun pulled her closer. "You, our restaurants, the life we built, everything. No regrets about walking away from that altar? My only regret is that I almost let you get on that plane." They fell asleep, tangled together, the way they had in that cramped apartment in Seodaemun, in that shipping container crossing the Pacific, in every place they'd hidden and built and loved. Outside, and Chicago slept. In Seoul, their restaurant served late-night customers. In LA, the morning shift was preparing to open. 3 cities, 3 restaurants, 1 story. The story of 7 days that changed everything. The story of choosing love over safety, life over survival, freedom over empire. The story of Kira and Minjun, who were supposed to be captor and captive, who became everything to each other instead, and they lived. Not happily ever after, because life is messy and complicated and sometimes still terrifying. But they lived freely, and that, they both agreed, was more than enough. In memory of all those who choose love over fear, who risk everything for freedom, and who believe that anything can change in a very short period of time, Kang Dae-jung died in prison. He and Minjun never spoke again. Hye-in remarried to a kind architect from San Francisco. They have 2 children. Mrs. Kim retired peacefully to Busan, where she bakes for her grandchildren. Tae-sung runs legitimate businesses in Seoul and has never looked back. Kira and Minjun opened their 4th restaurant in New York City. They're still ridiculously in love. That night, lying in bed, Kira said, "I have something to tell you." Minjun's heart stopped. "What?" "I went to the doctor today. I've been feeling sick for weeks." She took his hand, placed it on her stomach. "Minjun, I'm 8 weeks pregnant. We're having twins." The world stopped spinning. "Twins?" His voice cracked. "Twins," she confirmed, showing him the ultrasound photo. Minjun stared at the 2 tiny shapes. 2 miracles. His children. He started crying. "From a death sentence to a family of 4, he whispered. "How did we get so lucky?" "We chose each other," Kira said simply. "Every single day. Some stories end with happily ever after. This one ends with, and they chose each other every single day. That's better. From a warehouse in Seoul to 3 restaurants across 3 countries. From captor and captive to husband and wife. From 7 days to live to forever to love. This is what happens when you refuse to board the plane. When you walk away from the altar. When you choose love over literally everything else. Kira and Minjun's story proves that sometimes the most dangerous choice is the one that sets you free. So here's my question for you. If you had 7 days with someone who was supposed to be your enemy, could you fall in love? Drop your honest answer below. And what was your favorite moment from this entire trilogy? The midnight cooking? The wedding altar scene? The shipping container? Marcus's betrayal? The final confrontation with Daejung? Tell me in the comments. If this story wrecked you in the best way possible, do these 3 things. Hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. Soul Afro Stories is bringing you more impossible love stories, dangerous choices, and happy endings that are earned. Turn on all notifications because we've got more stories coming that will have you binge watching at 3 a.m. with no regrets. Share this trilogy with someone who needs to believe in love that defies logic. Send it to your AMB loving friends, your K-drama obsessed crew, your Mafia romance addicted besties. Spread the word. Where are you watching from? Drop your city and country below. I love seeing our Soul Afro Stories family spanning the globe. See you in the next story.